Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tom Clark over at TFC IVMMA, and as you can see, I'm excited. We are back. It's UFC 287 Fight Week. We have an awesome card coming up, and guys, I cannot wait to break this one down for you. The UFC returns to Miami after 20 plus years away. We have Jorge Gambrad Masvidal, the King of Miami. We have Gilbert Burns. We have Adrian Yanez, Rob Font, and of course, the one no one can forget about, the main event of the evening. We have the fourth fight, second in UFC, between Israel Adesanya and Alex Poatan Pereira. I'm so excited for this one, guys. The whole card is stacked from top to bottom, and I cannot wait to break it down with you. We start on the first fight of the night in the women's strawweight division. We have Jacqueline Amorin. I'm probably mispronouncing the last name a bit, but I don't care. I'm excited. Going up against Sam Hughes. Jacqueline makes her UFC debut. She's 4-0, has some LFA experience. Sam, on the other hand, is 2-4 in the UFC, 6 total fights, only 2 wins though, and she comes off a loss against Piera Rodriguez her last time out. Jacqueline comes in about a minus 265 favorite, with Hughes coming in about a plus 215, and I gotta go with the favorite on this one. She's looked good in MMA. Jacqueline's a sharp fighter, and I think she gets it done. After that, we have a banger fight in the UFC featherweight division. We have Shayleon Nerdembeki. I know I probably botched the last name as well. Like I said, I'm excited. This is a great card, so I don't really care. Going up against Steve Garcia. Both of these guys coming off wins. Obviously, Shayleon was involved in the highly controversial fight that saw legal action taken against James Krause, against Derek Minner, where there was some very suspicious betting lines coming in before that fight. Steve Garcia, though, he's coming off a big win against Chase Hooper his last time out, where he looked very dominant, even though he was a heavy underdog. He comes into this one still as an underdog, but not quite as heavy. He comes in at plus 155, with Shayleon coming in about minus 190. And this one's tough because both of these guys have looked good. Shayleon looked good last time out against Derek Minner, but we all know Derek Minner was compromised. So how much can we value that win? But this one's tough. 2 great strikers, but give me the dog on this one. I am going to go with Steve Garcia, and I think he probably gets it done inside the distance by knockout. Excited for that one. That one has guaranteed fight of the night potential. After that, we go to a catchweight bout. We have Ignacio Bamondes going up against Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden was scheduled to fight recently, but the fight wasn't able to go through, but he makes the jump onto this card. Ignacio's 2-1 in the UFC with a win over Zhu Rong his last time out. Trey Ogden's 1-1. He lost against Jordan Levitt, but he did win against Zell Huber his last fight. So he looked good there. Ogden is about a plus 285 on this one, with Ignacio coming about a minus 345. So a hefty price to pay. I wouldn't bet Ignacio on those numbers just because they are very steep. But picks-wise, give me Ignacio on that one. I think he also gets it done inside the distance. Guys, Israel and Alex's last fight had a lot of finishes on that card, and this fight, this whole card, just has all that potential as well, where we could get lots of finishes, lots of entertaining fights, so I'm super excited. After the catchweight bout, we do head on to the women's strawweight division. We have Cynthia Calavello going up against Lupi Godinez. This one's tough. Lupi's a heavy favorite at minus 275, with Cynthia coming in at about a plus 230-ish. But the big thing with Lupi is she's so talented, but that last fight against Angela Hill really raised a lot of speculations because she had the clear ground advantage and just didn't use it and chose to strike with a phenomenal striker in Angela Hill. So it's not a great visual when you see something like that. But in the same standpoint, Cynthia's coming off 4 straight L's. They were against higher level competition, with her most recent loss being against Nina Nunes, but still, that scares me, coming off 4 L's. She is 6-5 in the UFC, was on quite the streak beforehand, but I'm not going to bet her at this line, only because the inexperience she showed last time out. But give me Lupi Godinez on the pick. This next fight is one I'm super excited about. Those of you guys who are loyal to the channel know why. I interviewed Carl Williams last Saturday night. He is motivated. He is ready for this fight. He does come in as a heavy favorite at about minus 425, going up against Chase Sherman, who's coming in about plus 315. Carl's undefeated in the UFC. He had his first fight only about a month ago, and he looked very dominant. 30-26 on 2 of the scorecards, 30-27 on the third one. Chase Sherman, on the other hand, has had his moments, but he's 4-10 in the UFC. He's coming off the loss against Waldo Cortez Acosta. He had a close fight with Jared Vanderaa before that, and I truly think Carl is just on another level. I don't know if he uses the wrestling to get the decision or if he uses the wrestling to get the fight down and TKO Chase. Chase is crisp boxing on the feet, but he looks like a fish out of water usually when the fight hits the ground. So I'm going with Carl Williams here, and that is going to be my lock of the night. Last pay-per-view, I had my guy, Muhammad Mokaev. Hopefully Carl doesn't give us heart attacks like Muhammad did when he got caught in that knee bar. But Mokaev won, and I'm picking Carl to win here with my lock of the night pick. After that, we go to a middleweight bout, and this one is one I think any diehard fight fan is excited for. We have GM3 Gerald Meerschaert going up against Big Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer was one of those guys who lost his first time on the Contender Series. It was actually against Dustin Stoltzfus. And then he ended up earning his way back on and gets a big win. So he got the win on the Contender Series and then had his UFC debut, which he did end up winning in his first fight. Then you go to Gerald Meerschaert, who, when everyone thinks of Gerald Meerschaert, or at least, not when everyone, when us fight fans think of him, we think of him as a very accomplished guy, 10-7 in the UFC, all that kind of stuff. When a lot of people think about Gerald Meerschaert, they think of one thing, Khamzat Chimaev, right hook. But since that fight, I mean, Gerald Meerschaert's 4-1 in his last 5. His lone loss coming to Jotko, but he had a very impressive win against Silva his last time out. So, I mean, he's one of those guys where he's so talented, and he finishes fights. Nearly all of his fights are finishes. He has a very slick submission game. His guillotine's great. His rear naked chokes are great. So at plus dog money, Meerschaert comes in at plus 160. Pyfer's coming at minus 190. I hate to do it. I hate to pick another dog because I'm really dog hunting on this one so far, but give me GM3. I think he gets it done. Yeah, he's broken several hype trains in the past. I know he didn't beat Khamzat Chimaev. I know Khamzat quickly disposed of him. But Gerald is still a very, very good fighter, and I look forward to seeing him out there. This is going to be a very good fight, and I think probably will end in a finish. It's Joe Pyfer and Gerald Meerschaert. It's definitely ending in a finish. What am I saying? After that, we go down to the women's strawweight division. This is one where you got the veteran against the younger one. Michelle Waterson. She has been around the block. She has fought pretty much most of the champions. She's fought Joanna. She's fought Rose. She's fought Carla. She hasn't fought Wei Li, but I talked to her actually on Tuesday in a Twitter space, and she wants to fight Wei Li, so she's motivated. The big thing with Michelle, too, is this is a big step down in competition for the people she's lost to. She had the win against Angela Hill, but since then has lost to Mariana Rodriguez and Amanda Lemos. So she's fought nothing but killers in her time in the UFC. I when I was talking to her the other day, I mentioned with the men's fights, we always mention Rafael dos Anjos, how he's just fought a murderer's row. Michelle Waterson's similar when it comes to the women's fights. A murderer's row of girls. Like I said, Joanna, Amanda Lemos, Mariana Rodriguez, Rose, Carla. Like, these are all great, phenomenal fighters. So she is 6-6 in the UFC. She's at 500, even facing all those killers. And then she's going up against Luana Pinheiro, who's 2-0 in the UFC, but not the same level of competition. I mean, her last win was Sam Hughes. So this is going to be an interesting one. The odds are very tight. Michelle comes in about a plus 140, with Luana coming in about a minus 170. So I'm going with another dog. I mean, I'm going with the experience. Give me Michelle Waterson on that one. It's going to be good, guys. That's another guaranteed banger. What did I tell you about this card? After that, we go to the men's middleweight division, and it's the feature prelim of the night. This is a fight I think should be on the main card. I'm so excited for it. We have Chris, the action man, Curtis, the king of combat, some call him, his old nickname, versus Kelvin Gastelum. Chris has looked nothing but hot since he came into the UFC, and he has won bettors a lot of money as underdogs. He's been an underdog in almost all of his fights, and he's coming off a very impressive win against Joaquin Buckley, his only loss in the UFC being against Jack Hermanson, who's a top 10 guy. So he's looked great, but he's going up against Kelvin. And I was talking about how Chris's only loss was against a top 10 guy. Kelvin only loses to top contenders. I mean, just look at the names he's fought. Cannonier, Whitaker, Adesanya, Darren Till. So, I mean, he's fought a bunch of killers. But the one thing I'm hesitant about is I know it's killers, But the only time Ian Heinz is his only win as of late. His last win before that was 2018. That's 5 years ago. As much as I love Kelvin, that's a troubling number to look at. I know he's faced nothing but killers, and he's still 11-8 in the UFC. Still has a positive record, even coming off all these losses. But Chris is coming in about a plus 105 with Kelvin coming in about a minus 125. I'm going Chris Curtis. I'm going with another underdog. I know I never picked this many underdogs, but the dogs are going to be eaten in this one. So give me Chris Curtis, and I don't think he finishes Kelvin. I think Kelvin is far too tough for that, but I think probably Curtis by decision, and he may knock Kelvin down a time or two. Then kicking off the main card, like I said, I really think the last fight I just broke down should be on the main card, not this one, but just like Bo Nickel, the UFC's pushing Raul Rosas Jr. because he's young, because people hear this story about an 18-year-old in the UFC, so the UFC is pushing him. Raul's making his second fight. He fought Jay Perrin back in December for his first one, but he's going up against much better competition this time. He's going up against Christian Rodriguez, who's coming in only at plus 190. Raul's only minus 225. If you remember Raul's last fight, he was like a minus 500 or something crazy like that. So the UFC has given him a harder challenge. But you would still think in the back of your mind, like, is the UFC really going to feed this guy they love so much to a guy they think he could lose to? Probably not, but I think Christian Rodriguez could shock a lot of people. He's coming off a very impressive performance against Weems his last time out. He is 1-1 in the UFC because he did lose his debut to Jonathan Pierce. But Jonathan Pierce is a great fighter. That's not one to hang your hat on. So I'm really torn on this one. I hate to pick against Raul only because I think in the UFC's mind they're only going to try and give him winnable fights. But at plus 190, I think Christian Rodriguez shocks the world. I think he upsets Raul Rosas Jr. I think he could possibly submit Raul Rosas Jr. So give me C-Rod, give me Christian Rodriguez, and I'm going with another damn underdog. My goodness. I never do this, but we're going ballsy. I checked my pick percentage the other day. I'm at like 67% for the year. So let's get ballsy with it. Let's pick some underdogs. Let's add to that percentage. Let's get it. After that, we go to the feature bout, but the fight in the men's welterweight division. We have Kevin Holland, the Trailblazer, going up against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Kevin's a very talented fighter. He's looked good since coming down to 170, but his last two times out have been against killers that I predicted that Wonderboy was going to beat him because I knew Kevin wouldn't try and take him down. Kevin was a favorite in that fight. I had no idea how. Because if it's a striking match against Wonderboy, there are very few people who can pull that off. And before that, he got absolutely dog-walked by Khamzat Chimaev. But those are two guys I view above Kevin's level, so I don't think that's one to hang your hat on. He's beat plenty of great names at 185. He came down to 170, and he was able to beat Cowboy Oliveira. He was able... Was it Tim Mean? Yeah, he beat Tim Mean, so he's had some good wins. Santiago Ponzinibbio was on a little skid of himself as well, but he had the big win against Alex Morono back in December. The tough part about that fight is he didn't look great against Morono. For pretty much all of the fight, Morono was winning, but Santiago did catch him, did put him away, and he did eat some shots, which gave me a little bit more confidence in his chin, to be honest with you. So Santiago's 11-5 in the UFC. Kevin's 10-6. Kevin had that year in 2020 where he was hella active, beat Jacare off the bottom. Both of these guys are so talented, and I'm really struggling to pick against one of them because Santiago ended up getting the win against Morono, had two very close losses against Michel Pereira and Jeff Neal, so I'm torn. Santiago's plus 205, Kevin's minus 245. I've picked enough underdogs. I got to go with the safe pick here, and that is Kevin Holland. But let me just put out there, I would not be surprised at all if an upset does happen here. After that, we go to the feature bout of the evening in the men's bantamweight division. We got Rob Font. I love Rob Font. I always support him. He's a New Englander like myself. He's going up against the Texan Adrian Yanez. Font's 9-5 in the UFC, but is coming off two tough losses. The Jose Aldo one was tough, but it wasn't horrible. He didn't take a bunch of damage. The Chito Vera fight, he took a bunch of damage. More than you like to see someone see. I almost wouldn't have been mad if his corner threw in the towel on that one. But in this one, Font's number 6 in the world. Adrian Yanez is number 12. But Yanez comes in as the betting favorite at minus 180 with Font at plus 155. Yanez has some of the most crisp boxing you will see in the UFC. He utilizes it very, very well, and he's range management as well as great. He can catch your kicks, he can land the strikes. He's a phenomenal boxing to the body, so he's just as talented, but so is Rob Font. Rob Font has one of the best jabs you'll see and great striking. Where my issue runs into with Rob Font is he's very, very hittable. We saw that in the Cheeto Vera fight where Rob was winning 4 minutes of these rounds and then Cheeto knocks him down to steal it. So I hate to pick against my New Englander guy, Rob Font, but give me Adrian Yanez at minus 180. And I don't know if he can put Rob out. Rob showed such a chin, but sooner or later those great chins do crack. So I don't know if it will be this fight, but give me Adrian Yanez. And then we go to the co-main event. We got the King of Miami, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, making his grand return to Florida, not to Florida, but to Miami. His last time in Florida didn't go great, but this fight's in Miami, his home. First time he's fought in Miami as a UFC fighter, so this is going to be good. But he's going up against another Floridian by way of Brazil, and that's Gilbert Durinho Burns. Both these guys fighting out of the two biggest gyms in Florida. We have Jorge, who's coming out of American Top Team, and Gilbert, who comes out of the Sanford, Killcliff, Black Zillions, whatever you want to call it, gym. So this one's going to be good. I think the odds are way, way off on this one. Gilbert's minus 490. I know Gilbert was able to beat Neil Magny easily, get him down to the ground, but Gilbert has shown very chinny in the past. And Jorge has shown that he has good takedown defense. I know he's got taken down his last couple fights, but those are against two of the best wrestlers in welterweight history. So it's very tough to hold those ones against him. That being said, Gilbert's minus 490. Jorge's plus 390. I'm picking Gilbert to win this fight, but I am betting money on Jorge Masvidal. You got to at those odds. At plus 390, he's a very live dog. These odds should be Gilbert minus 190. People are really sleeping on Jorge Masvidal, and I really think they're sleeping on the effect a hometown crowd has on a person. I really think that's going to make a massive difference in this one. And I think he's going out there to prove some things. He basically said, if I can't beat Gilbert, I know I can't win a title, and it's probably over. I think his back's against the wall, and I think he's a very live dog who's going to be biting. He's going to be barking. So I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns because I picked a bunch of dogs on this card, and I think he still could win. But at minus 490 odds, do not bet Gilbert Burns in this one as much as I love him. And after that, we go to the fight that we are all excited for. The one that we have all been waiting for. Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira. Alex is up 3-0 in this one. Hasn't looked the best in the fights, but he always gets it done. Kickboxing won. Very close fight. Alex won due to damage. He did land the bigger shots. Izzy had more volume, but Alex landed the bigger shots. Kickboxing fight 2. Izzy's landing great shots. Izzy's winning the fight. Izzy hurts Alex. Alex knocks him out. Third fight. First fight in UFC. Alex comes out in the first round. Looks very good. Gets clipped at the end of the first. Loses the round. Shows great recovery. Comes out. Wins the second round. Round 3. The fight gets to the ground. Israel kind of dominates that round. Fourth round. Both of the guys are pretty stagnant. No one does much. Israel wins the round. The fifth round. Alex Pereira comes out, knows he needs a finish, comes out guns blazing, and gets it. That fight, any of you guys who are here off Twitter or people on my channel, you guys know who I'm picking in this fight. I'm picking Alex Pereira. I've got some bets on Alex. I got about 3 units on money line and about 1 unit on him by knockout. I know those aren't huge numbers, but it's a decent-sized bet. So I think he gets it done. And the way I look at this fight is the last fight was Izzy's best chance. And that's only because Alex was new, he was green, and Alex made so many mistakes in that fight. Everyone asked me, what mistakes did he make? He got the finish. He was winning the first round until he went in with his hands down and got caught. I look at that as a mistake he probably won't make again. I look at the third round, where the narrative is, Izzy's going to go out there and wrestle because look how we got him down in the third round. Izzy didn't take him down in the third. Alex tried a horrible trip attempt and ended up on bottom. I don't think he makes that mistake this time. And frankly, I don't know if Israel's strong enough to get him down to the ground. I know we always make the comments about how massive Alex is. He's probably 20 pounds heavier than Izzy in the octagon, realistically. He's just as big. I don't think Izzy is strong enough to get Alex down. So I really do think the last fight was Izzy's best chance. Alex made so many mistakes, and he still got the win. So I think Alex gets the win in this one, and I think he finishes the fight within 3 rounds. Do not bet on that. Do not quote me on that. Maybe sprinkle some money, because I could see it going longer. But I do think the lack of mistakes will help Alex this time, and the mental is going to play a huge factor. Izzy can go up there saying, he's not in my head. I know this is my last shot. My back's against the wall. It's all the same shit he said last time. And you see how irritated he gets when people bring up stuff Alex says about him. You saw that reaction on the podcast where he saw Alex making fun of his Pikachu on the reaction video. And Izzy's up there, who do you think you are? That didn't look great. That shows Alex is getting in his head, in my opinion at least. So it's just little stuff like that. And stuff that may mean nothing. The press conference today, Izzy just looks agitated. He looks like he's out there. You saw it. I'm not going to rag on the guy for fashion choices. I think he looked like a dope, wearing a collar and the skirt and all that. I think he looked like an idiot. And you guys know I'm not a huge Izzy fan, so I'm not going to pull my punches on that one. But he just looks very agitated with Pereira. And I also think a big thing, too, is Eugene Behrman even said he did not want Izzy taking that fight this quickly. And you saw Izzy's reaction to that in the press conference. So I think this fight's going to be very physical, but I think it's going to be just as mental. And I think Alex is winning the mental game by a mile, where he may only be winning the physical game by a couple feet. I really think he's in Izzy's head. I really think he's compromised him. I really think those subtle trolls have amounted to something, in my opinion. I can't be so sure. I can't say it's certain, but I really do think that is going to play a huge factor, and that is why I am picking Alex Poatan Pereira to get the win and still middleweight champion. If he does get that win, I would really love him to go up to 205 pounds. I think that's the smart move, in my opinion. He shouldn't be cutting all that weight, and I think a fight against Jamal Hill to try and avenge Glover Teixeira does big numbers. And if Alex can become double champ in Glory, double champ in UFC, you have to start making the argument that he's one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time. So I'm excited for a good card, guys. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to give you a reaction video on Sunday. Have a great rest of your night, and let's get it.